So to make a long story short, I cut a Virgin demo in 1993, and I sent it out to about 220 radio stations. I get a return from about 5 to 10 of them. And 5 of them say, that's really good stuff. Would you like to work on our station? I remember to this day, one of them was in Boston, of all places. I don't remember the station that said, we like what you did. But nevertheless, I was living in San Francisco, as I am now, and one of them came from a local station, and the guy says to me, good stuff. Would you like to come on in and talk to us? And then they gave me a fill-in. Well, anyway, here's the Virgin demo, 1993, Savage's Virgin demo, play 01.
And now, direct from the towers above Manhattan, it's the Michael Savage Show. To the right of Rush and to the left of God. And now, Michael Savage. I'm glad I can be with you 7 nights a week because these stories are just not going away. I mean, every day in every way we're getting assaulted. Look at these questions before us today. Look at the questions before us. You know, they say that I'm to the right of Rush and to the left of God. I really don't think that that's funny. I really don't think that's funny at all. Do immigrants carry diseases? Are lawyers really humans? Is white bread safe to eat? How come women with mustaches, with peace and love and turtle-saving bumper stickers are the most likely to cut you off on the highway? Is Bill Clinton's mother a lesbian? By the way, a quick note. Nazis, skinheads, KKK, don't call me. Crawl back into your bunkers. You've given true conservatives a bad name because you permit the sick leftists to paint all conservatives with the fascist brush, okay? Don't call me. Do Labor Secretary Reich's feet touch the ground when he's seated on talk shows? I don't know. But these are some of the questions that I think we have to answer here. Because
all right, let's pause. You see how daring this was? You see how good? Now you say, well, it's commonplace today. It was not commonplace in 1994, by the way. It was really daring. It broke open new ground. I changed the media landscape. And that's it. That's how I started. Then I did a show. I'll never forget it. I'm going to just tell you the story, and then we're going to move on. I'll never forget it. So the local station manager calls me, and he says, would you like to fill in? I said, sure, I'll try it. Now, I had never done radio except on book tours. I had done 10 national book tours where you go around and do radio and television. They were very stressful. But along the way, I remember various program directors had said to me, you know, you're really good on the radio. You should consider a career in radio. I had no way. How could you get a job in radio? It was as real to me as becoming an astronaut. Of course I wanted to do it. But I didn't know. How would you get into radio? It seemed as difficult as becoming an astronaut. I had no way to do it, so let me put it to you that way. But let me tell you something. Desperation breeds creativity, and creativity breeds a lot of you take a lot of chances. And anyway, this is it 15 years later. I think that fate had a hand in this, and God. I think I really was set out to do this from the beginning. All right, so he says fill in. All right, the first show I fill in for is on a liberal talk station in San Francisco. It's still there. It's a powerhouse, 50,000 water. And he gives me a show to fill in for. That guy is on the overnight show, and he's a hater of the lowest order, hates white people, panders to the let's say a Reverend Wright type. As exactly a Reverend Wright. All night long, hate radio against whites, against America. He himself, of course, is living the high life, as is Reverend Wright in his new $10 million house. You understand how it works. Curse America and go and laugh all the way to the bank. You know, yeah. All they needed was the Kool-Aid, like a Jim Jones job. So that's the kind of show. I didn't know, really. I never listened to the Cretin. I'm never up in the middle of the night. So he said, all right, I go on the air, and I start to tell about illegal immigrants and this and that. I get hate callers like I have never encountered in my life. Because remember what my last incarnation was. I was the good doctor. I was the nutritionist and the herbalist who gave lectures around the world. And by the way, I had even given a lecture. You'll never believe this story. I don't think I've told it. Normally, I would give lectures about health and vitamins and nutrition in America. At one point, I was director of nutrition for a major international nutrition company. They sent me to Malaysia to talk about their products. My audience were all Muslim women. So I go into I could not believe it. They were all Muslim women. They were a great audience. These were moderate Muslim women who were interested in nutritional supplements. They received it very well. I spoke, and it was translated. So I had been all over the world doing lectures, and I was usually very well received, and frankly, I was the beloved doctor kind of thing. Now I do talk radio, and I walk into a propeller of hatred from the left. I never encountered such hatred from the people that were the regular listeners of this guy's show. That night at 5 in the morning when the shift ended, remember what it was? I think it was 1 to 5 in the morning. I don't remember. I drive home from that station. The whole way home, I'm like in a paranoid state. I'm looking in the rearview mirrors. I thought I was being followed. I get home the next day. I said to my family when I got home when they woke up, I said, I'm never going to do radio as long as I live. I said, I can't take the hatred of the callers. The liberals are the most hateful people I've ever encountered in the world. I said, no amount of money on earth would be worth doing this. I called the station. Actually, they called me the next day when I woke up, and they said, wow, you did a great job, Savage. Would you like to fill in again? I said, no, I would never fill in again as long as I live. I don't want to ever do radio again. Ask them. I'm not making it up. I said, well, they said, why? I said, I'm not going to go into a show like that again with these haters. They said, well, how about filling in during the day? I said, I don't know. I don't think I could do radio again. It's too hateful. The people who call it are full of hate, the left-wingers. Well, they said, okay, I tell you what, you won't have to do a night shift again. You'll do a day shift. And I swear that I did a little fill-in on the day, and I shook up the whole local media, and then eventually they created a local conservative station, and I went on that. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Remember, I had a fairly good living. I was making a good living as an author and as a consultant, and I didn't want anything to do with radio, but the temptation was too great. And I got to tell you something else. Radio, you ask anyone in the media who knows how to do it right, they'll all tell you the same thing. Nothing in the world of media can compare to the high you get off radio. There's nothing that can compare to the feelings you get when you do this right. There's no performance in the world that equals radio. I don't care what you do for a living. Look, I wrote books. I'm not a Dostoevsky. I didn't write fiction, but I wrote really fine nonfiction. My nonfiction were all Persian miniatures. They're excellent. In fact, my first book, Earth Medicine, Earth Foods, is still in print. I wrote books to last. They were not just fluff. I was a craftsman as a writer. However, writing is a very difficult profession because it takes a year to conceive of a book, 2 years to write a book, till it comes out is like another 9 months. By the time it's out, you're not connected to the product anymore, to the work. There's no immediate feedback. And here's an interesting side note. I had an editor at Houghton Mifflin in Boston when I wrote A Maximum Immunity, a book that went into 6 different languages. It was a great book, by the way. It's still around. I mean, maybe it's a little out of date in some ways, but in terms of describing the immune system, it's a very good book. The editor, who was a really high-class old Bostonian, took me to lunch in one of the great Boston restaurants, and she said to me, you really are made for radio, more so than you are for writing. I said, are you insulting me? She said, no, listen to what I'm saying. She said, you're a guy who's got so much energy, and you're so immediate, and you can deliver an idea immediately from the top of your head perfectly. She said, you need immediate feedback. She said, you can't get that from writing. She's absolutely right. So there's nothing like radio. It's like riding a horse bareback. I don't know how else to put it. It's like speeding across a plain on a horse without a saddle. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Other forms of the media are like riding riding the trotters at Yonkers. You've got a 3-wheeled vehicle underneath you and a horse and a bridle. Or some may approach, let's say, riding in another manner. But there's nothing like riding a horse across the plains without a saddle while firing a bow and arrow. That's radio. I'll be right back.